everybody. Welcome to the Good Evening Kitties podcast, the Tales from the Crypt review. My name is Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest, and today's episode is Season 7, Episode 4, Escape. Today I have back with me Mike as a return guest. Hi, Mike.
Hey.
You ready to talk again about World War II?
Oh, God. Because that's all anyone ever talks about.
That's it. Do not drink that tea yet.
Oh, but...
No.
It smells good.
Yeah, we're going to get to the tea. I guess we'll get to the tea now because he's already sniffing it.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Gus has the zoomies, so if you hear it's him. Let me explain the tea first before we try it. We got our mugs of tea because these episodes are in the UK. So for today's tea, we're doing Lady Grey. Did you know Earl Grey had a lady?
No.
Maybe it's his sister.
I thought he was a conscientious bachelor.
Yeah, I didn't really know about the Lady Grey, but it came in my sampler pack, and the Earl Grey has more of a bergamot flavor, but I noticed the difference with this one is it doesn't say it has that in Lady Grey, but it has orange and lemon peel in it. So I'm assuming if you're a lady, you like fruit. That's what I'm thinking. It's gonna have more of a fruit aftertaste than like a flowery bergamot musk. Because men are musky.
I don't know. All I know is it ain't no Lapsang I can't say Lapsang Souchong.
I don't know. You drink it.
It's good though.
Yeah.
It's like drinking a bonfire.
Okay. So we have the tea here. Mike is without sugar. Mine has some sugar in it. But other than that, we didn't put any cream or anything. So let's go ahead and cheers here.
Prost.
Well, it's definitely got the fruitiness to it. I can smell it before it gets into my mouth.
It tastes like that one meat I made a while back.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the inhaling. I mean, I could see how it'd be good if you have a cold. Because as soon as you go to inhale to take a drink, it's like orange lemon smell, right into your mouth. So, I mean, I think I'd prefer Earl Grey. But this one's not too bad either.
I'm just more used to more extreme flavors. So, you know me.
Yeah.
I'll grate up a whole knob of ginger into the coffee machine, and I'll brew that. So, a little too subtle for my taste.
Yeah. All right. So that was tea corner. So let's go ahead and move on with that. We had some tea. And so now, like I said, we're going to talk about Season 7, Episode 4, Escape. This is another war-type episode. I brought Mike on for Season 3, Episode 14, Yellow, which is another... Was that World War...
That was World War I.
World War I, yeah. That's what I thought.
The Great Wall. The First World War.
So now we're in World War II, and because it's UK, we're coming from the British side concerning the Germans.
This is an escape episode, like a wartime prison escape episode.
I mean, it's called Escape.
It is very much in the vein of The Great Escape and Hogan's Heroes. But where it really breaks from that mold is it's told from the German perspective, kind of. It's German soldiers trying to escape from a British POW camp, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So for Season 7, Episode 4, Escape, as always, John Kassir does the voice of the Crypt Keeper and Danny Elfman does the theme song. This episode aired May 17th, 1996. It was directed by Peter MacDonald, who also directed the movie Rambo 3. The screenplay was by Gilbert Adler and A.L. Katz. It stars Martin Kemp from TV's EastEnders, which if you're an actor in the UK, you're probably most likely on that show or one of those.
Or Holby City.
Or Casualty, I think that one's been on for a while. Nicholas Grace, who's from Salome's Last Dance.
I love that.
Which Mike likes that movie.
It's a Ken Russell movie. Of course, I'm going to love it.
Nick Redding from TV's Silent Witness, which is another British show that a lot of actors are on if you're a British actor. Roy Dotrice from movies like Amadeus. Al Ashton from TV's London's Burning. Lucy Baylor from TV's EastEnders. Chris Armstrong from TV's The Bill, which is another one. It's all these people. That's another show I think it's still running. Bill Weston, who doesn't do a whole lot of acting, but he did stunt work with over 100 credits and was also the stunt coordinator for Season 7 of Tales from the Crypt, so the whole thing. But he's in this too. And Murray MacArthur from TV's The Bill. So it's a large cast, but it really only focuses on 3 or 4 of the characters. I'm just covering everyone who's in it. But let me go ahead and read the info here on the back of the box for Escape. Duplicity is a game two can play. A World War II prison camp rat lives by his wits and may soon be outwitted. It's not bad. It's not a bad description, I suppose. So let's go ahead and start here. And of course, it opens up with the Crypt Keeper. This one is actually an intro that has to do with the movie or with the episode.
Kind of. It's about the military.
Yeah. So you got the Crypt Keeper. He is like a commander or lieutenant or whatever, and he's yelling at all his privates that are also like they're like skeletons in little military uniforms, and he's in a military uniform with these huge like aviator sunglasses. The intro and outro for this episode really show they really get a close up on his face, like it's almost like kind of greasy looking. He's got these real high cheekbones, and you can see like a little bit of fur. Like where he may have a beard, but it's not like apparent.
Definitely more detail.
Yeah, it's very detailed in this one, and it's him just yelling at them and making puns, having a good time,
doing the whole drill sergeant thing.
Yes, the drill sergeant. There's a soldier skeleton that has horns on for some reason, little like opera-looking horns, but it's more like it's more like bull horns. They're just like built into the skull. But yeah, they're having fun. So he brings in the episode, and it opens up where these guys are running through the woods. And it just says somewhere in England, 1945. So it's towards the end of the war, of World War II. And they're doing like the credits, and these 4 guys are running around, and there's people after them, which has been an intro for a couple of the episodes of Tales from the Crypt. Everyone's just running around, escaping, trying to get away. Yeah, the 4 guys are running. I mean, this is a little more from like a German point of view, I guess, but I mean, it is a British prisoner of war camp, so. But these German accents are really something.
It's okay, though. Like, how many movies did we grow up with that had that exact same thing going on?
So this episode is about Lieutenant Luger, which is fun because Luger is a type of gun based on the people named Luger, and it's a common name. And so you got Lieutenant Luger.
There might be kind of a linguistic thing going on here because Luger is also very similar to the German word for liar, Lügner. Maybe.
That's interesting because that will kind of come to play later.
Yeah.
So the fact that that's kind of close, I mean, there may be a reason that was picked back then, maybe because that is close to the word liar, but either way, Lieutenant Luger is running through the woods with these 3 guys that he's trying to help. They're escaping from a different prisoner of war camp. And they're getting turned around where they're going, and he's talking to this other guy who he's trying to get to escape out of there.
But they've already escaped. They just don't know where to go.
They don't know where to go.
They're in the middle of the woods.
And then the floodlights get put on them, and then the British soldiers come up. And basically what it is Lieutenant Luger, he betrayed his men. He had made a deal with some British officer on better treatment and things like that if he were to give over some of his buddies.
They already had an escape plan, and he was part of it.
Yeah.
He decided to go to this British officer and say, well, I'm going to rat out my friends. I'm going to basically break news of the escape attempt to the British so that I can get better digs.
This character is played by Martin Kemp, and he's got a pretty kind of strong accent too. I did look him up to see if he ever did any voice acting, but I didn't really see anything. But yeah, so the one guy realizes you screwed us over, and then they all get shot.
The British don't just shoot them; they're running away.
There's a reason.
Stop or we'll shoot.
And then they run. Yeah. Also, during all this scene, there's some really interesting music that they throw in here that's kind of scattered with different drum rim shots and different sounds.
Lots of old-fashioned incidental style music. Like, you've ever seen any classic movie from the olden days, like Maltese Falcon, there'll always be these little incidental flourishes.
And I've noticed so far in season 7 they're really leaning on that incidental tonal music to be oh, it's quirky. So then it shoots to the POW castle, POW war camp, but it's in a castle, and it's a pretty sweet castle. The location for this episode's pretty cool. The uniforms and stuff are fine. They're not really super. Nothing really stood out. Really, I mean, they had some hats and stuff. I guess that's.
I'm sure that someone's going to notice there's a button wrong here or there, but it looks pretty accurate.
But it just seemed like a really fun place. It's a Havenhurst POW camp. I don't believe Havenhurst exists. I looked it up, and I think it's just for this episode. And they're bringing Luger back to this new camp. It's a new camp, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he walks in to talk to...
it's the same camp.
Oh, it's the same camp? Okay.
They didn't make that point very clear.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell. And so they bring him in to talk to, I believe this is Crumb.
No.
Is this Major Nicholson?
This is, I think so. This is the Major.
Okay, so they bring the soldier brings Lieutenant Luger in to talk to Major Nicholson, played by Roy Dotrice. Luger's like, hey, I had this deal that if I did this, I was going to get better treatment and all this other stuff. And the Major's like, that's nice.
I'd like to talk about my arrangements.
Your arrangements?
We had an agreement, Major Norris and I.
Oh, yes, I heard about that.
Good. Then there shouldn't be any problem giving me what I want.
And what would that be, Lieutenant? Car at your disposal? Room service?
Maybe you don't understand. But when I warned Major Norris that there would be an escape attempt, he told me that he was going to...
I don't care what he told you. I don't approve of making deals with the enemy.
But Major Norris assured me...
Have you no shame? 3 of your own men are dead because you betrayed them.
They shouldn't have run. They were stupid. Stupid people deserve to die.
Well, the Major's of the old school, too. He doesn't really respect someone who would betray their comrades in arms.
Yeah, he does not really appreciate this deal. We don't know who the soldier was that gave him this deal. We don't know if that guy was punished or anything, but this Major's like, that's nice. You're not going to get whatever it is you want. And he's like, but I did the deal. And he's like, great, I don't care. We're going to take you back out to the camps. So he's like bummed out about that. They take him back outside where he meets Albert Fry and I believe Crypt, I think is the other guy. He meets a couple different guys, but the main one is Albert Fry, who is this German.
Well, yeah, they're like, dude, you escaped. Did the other guys get away? Like, how'd you escape? Maybe we can escape too. Oh, golly gee, wouldn't it be great to escape?
Yeah, word is spread around the camp that this guy got out. And even though he was captured, the other men are supposedly, believed to have gotten out. So they're like, well, cool, maybe this guy can at least help us and we can get out. And if he gets captured, apparently it's no big deal. He didn't get shot, so it's fine. So they want to get to know him. And so Albert Fry is this German POW. He's talking to him, and then there's a couple other guys. And Luger's not really that interested in them. He's just like, what do you want from me? I don't...
Well, he's frustrated because his whole plan fell through.
His plan fell through too. So he really doesn't want to talk to anyone. But they keep popping up all the time to kind of bring up information. And Albert Fry really has quite the German accent. The accents here are just all over the place. Some are just really strong.
They're trying.
Yeah, they're having a good time. But it's kind of a...
it's on the same level that I do accents. It's okay for comedic value, but as far as a anything remotely serious, you want somebody who's probably a native speaker.
Well, and also it's kind of bleak here. So it's hard to tell what time of day it is. It's just kind of overcast, and then there's really cool castle. They're all kind of bundled up. Obvious it's a little cold, and then they have trash cans that are on fire. Everyone's just kind of chilling. Luger goes checking out the rest of the camp, and they kind of put some of the POWs to work. The British here have an illegal coffin-making facility.
Yes, and I kind of appreciate how the episode goes into how this might not be on the up and up.
Yeah.
Because the British, and really the Allies in general, except for the Russians, treated their captured prisoners of war pretty cushily. Definitely compared to the way the Germans treated theirs. So, there's that.
Yeah, so it's these guys... The people there, the Germans have to put together these wooden coffins, and it's for other their deaths, I guess, on the British thing. But I guess they're selling it to a third party.
It's not made entirely clear.
It's not super gone into, but it's basically they're not supposed to be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. All we know is you got the prisoners of war performing illegal labor.
So Albert Fry is showing him around, which makes me think that it's not the camp he escaped from. The fact that he's showing him around. I mean, I guess because it's I don't know. So it's all these guys assembling coffins, and Albert Fry is
these coffins are used to bury the British war dead. And so long as we all keep quiet about it, we get to keep our privileges. And if it comes down to privileges or a bunch of stupid rules, I know. I feel the same way about forced labor. And you. I feel the same way about escaping, too.
What do you mean by that?
Just what I said. My English is quite good. At least, I understand it better than I speak it. But I was very clear what the guards were saying about you.
What do you want?
What makes you think I want anything? Hell, I'm happy to have found a kindred spirit. Someone who, like me, is perfectly happy staying put. Someone who, like me, understands the value of information and how it can be used.
But I could be an asset to you, and, let's work on getting out of here and all this stuff. And so as they're talking about this, it shoots over to these jeeps or whatever coming up to the castle, and these are medic jeeps. So they're bringing someone back, and then it shoots over to the barracks or whatever where the POWs are at, and they're just really bored and listening to some music, and it's some real swinging. I mean, they look bored, but they were they can smoke and they can play chess or whatever, and they're all talking about their escape plan, and they apparently have started digging a hole in the wall, and they have some uniforms put together, I guess, to look like British.
Yeah, British uniforms.
Yeah, looking at the air shafts and the stuff that runs through the walls so they can get out easier. And they're all trying to get him all excited about helping them out, which is it seems like they kind of got it already. They really need his help. I don't know. So then the medic jeeps show up and they find out that there's a new guy brought in who's been injured. His face is all bandaged up. He's really bloody. And it's one of the guys that Luger has betrayed.
Yes, and one of the guys that was shot trying to escape.
Yes, so he did not die like they thought, like Luger thought they did. There's one here, and he can probably still talk. So he's very concerned about that. He pretends that, like, later it shoots to, like, inside the castle a little bit. And it's, like, made up to where it's, like, it's an infirmary and things like that. But he's, like, sweeping, like he's acting...
You mean an infirmary?
Infirmary?
I didn't know that infirmary was a word.
We're gonna look up the word infirmary.
Yay. There's a horrible cat. Oh, yeah, I knew it.
Oh, he's right behind you. Gus is laying behind him on Mike's computer chair because it... Oh.
Infirmary.
Oh, there is no infirmary.
You had me questioning myself for a second. Am I going crazy? Is it infirmary?
That's my bad. So it's infirmary. I should know that from, there's a cover the White Stripes would do, St. James Infirmary Blues.
Oh.
Anyway, I should have known from that. Okay, so infirmary. So there's an infirmary and then some other stuff, and that's where the new injured dude is there. But it's funny because then they shoot the Luger and he's got like a push broom and he's just like, oh, just doing some chores as he's like slinking his way over to the medic area and looking out for this guy. He goes back to talk to the major.
Yeah, he's basically ratting out his comrades again, being like, hey, man, they're planning to escape. They got uniforms prepared. They have maps of how to get out of here and everything.
That's it, yeah. Because he's afraid now that once that guy talks, he's going to be screwed. So he's like, okay, by the way...
They already have weapons and uniforms and detailed maps of the tunnels that run under this place. And keys. They have keys, too.
Yes? And?
And, well, now that I've told you, you have to do something about it. And because I helped you, I think it is...
Let's lay our cards on the table, shall we? I know exactly why you came here. You're scared to death of our new arrival. Well, I'm going to let you into a little secret. I arranged for Lieutenant Schloss to be brought here. And once he begins to speak again, which the doctors assure me should be within a few days, I'm sure your fellow inmates will be very impressed with what he has to tell them about the man they've chosen to lead their escape.
But see, the major's onto him. The major's like, oh, I know exactly who this guy is that we brought back. And in a few days, he should be able to talk. And we'll get to learn all about the fun things you did. And then, that'll spread around camp, make his life a lot harder. He keeps trying to make deals with the enemy, but then the enemy doesn't go. Like, you think you'd learn.
You think you pick up on this guy being, like, holding you in absolute contempt, you know?
Yeah. So now he's talking back at that Fry guy, who's got, like, a hat, like a...
I think he's supposed to be Luftwaffe, their Air Force. Just different from their Army, obviously. The different uniforms are here. Nice little touches.
Yeah.
Kind of like it.
And there's, like, they're all out there talking, and everyone's getting, like, their rations, and there's a lady there, and she has kind of, like, just a really small part.
Yeah, this is the International Red Cross.
Yeah, that's Kitty.
Distribute care packages and such like.
And he's trying to inform her, I guess, about the coffin making. Because he's like, I'm not going to get out of here. I got to narc on everybody. And I've dug a hole for myself.
He's really behaving very recklessly.
Very. It's only been like a day or two. Like, he's really freaking out. It's not like they have him locked up or anything. Like, he has free range to walk around. So later it cuts to that night. They're still listening to music and sewing these fake British uniforms. He's talking to the German guy, Fry, about how he told Kitty about the coffin thing, and they're like, well, we're not sure if anyone will even believe her if she tells anyone. So he wants to use the hole, and he's going to, like, make a pit stop over at this infirmary to take out that dude.
Yes, to kill the witness.
Yeah, to kill the witness. In the barracks, they pull back this thing, and then they pull back, like, this wooden thing, and there's these huge tunnels that they've built for these air vents. Now, some of them aren't all from them being dug, I suppose, because of the air vents, but...
Also, there's an old castle. It's probably got so many different passageways.
They're pretty well dug out. Like, you can fit, like, a grown man. They've been busy. And then there's a scene that Mike does not like.
When the cart very nearly runs over the tips of his fingertips.
Yeah, so they get out to this, like, air vent where they can actually stand up. And he finds this floor grate. And he has his fingers out to grab the grate. And that's when this cart comes by and just narrowly misses his fingers. And like, we've watched this episode a couple times.
It always makes me cringe.
Mike cringes every time.
I can take gore. I can take, like, whole bodies being sawn in half. But, like, the little extremities...
Before he gets up to do that, though, like, he punches Fry in the face and knocks him out. Because, like, it's all coming to a head already. He's like, I gotta go kill this guy. Screw everyone else. I just needed to get to this area. So he gets up to where the injured soldier is. And before he can really do anything, one of the guards stops him. It's like, hey, but you're not supposed to be in here and all this stuff.
With a ridiculously thick Scottish accent that may or may not be fake. As an American, I can't tell. It just sounds outrageous.
But before that soldier can do anything, Fry comes back and hits him in the back with like this stick or whatever and knocks him out. And he's like, "Did you miss me?" And it's like Fry's not even mad that he punched him in the face. They're there, and Luger's like, "Cool, I'm gonna kill this dude." And like he comes up and he starts trying to smother, because the guy can't really see.
Yeah, he's smothering the survivor with a pillow.
Yeah,
You know,
because he's got his
taking
face
him out.
wrapped up. I think he's got like a thing with some like blood being transfused. Like he's
Yeah.
pretty bad. And he puts the pillow over his face, and the whole time Fry's like, "Come on, we gotta go, we gotta go."
Yeah, so he's strangling the guy.
Yeah. So he thinks the guy passes out, like his arms go down. And he's like, "Cool." And then he goes to turn around, he's like, "Yeah, let's go." And then that's when the guy stands back up. Does he hit him with a bedpan? I think he hits him with a bedpan.
Anyway, now the tables have turned. Now he's strangling Luger.
Yeah. He's on top of Luger, strangling him. Again, he's all wrapped up. He looks like a mummy. And that's when he's behind the guy who's injured, and he pulls him back up, and he just like slits his throat with a knife. Alarms start going off because of what happened. And so all the people in the barracks, like all the other soldiers, are all out there, and they're all standing outside by one of the barrels on fire. And so the guy who had his throat slit is not dead. He's dying, but he's not dead. And so with the blood, he like pulls himself up to this window that's facing everybody outside. And he takes the blood off of his neck, and he writes on the panels in blood. What does he write?
He just writes Luger.
He writes Luger. It looks like Regal backwards, but he writes Luger in the window so that when he dies, everyone knows who did this to him. And so they're all out there, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, do you see that? It says Luger. We know what's going on." And so the alarms are going off. Everyone's running around. This stuff's kind of fun because there's a couple like close calls of Fry and Luger running around the castle, like almost getting caught, but not, you know, and like cool shots of the castle.
There's no point in going back to the barracks now.
I know that. I'm trying to get us to the outer wall.
You think?
First, I try. Come on.
Albert, why did you help me? I mean, after I hit you.
It's like I told you, Luger. We are kindred spirits. Fact is, I respect what you did to me.
You're crazy.
No, I'm a survivor, like you.
And so what happened is, I suppose Kitty did her job. She told someone about the coffin making, and they believed her.
So someone's coming to inspect, give a surprise inspection.
So now Major Nelson and everyone's worried because there's someone coming tonight to check out to see if they have these illegal coffins. Major Nelson tells one of the other sergeants or whatever, he's like, "Hey, take all the coffins, put them in the back of this truck, and get rid of them." They put all the coffins in the back of the truck. Luger and Fry jump in, and they're like, "Cool, we'll get away in this coffin thing. We'll get away together. It's fine."
So they get into one of the coffins. That's
Just
what they
one.
loaded on.
What's funny is, they get into just one. It's like there's not much room for more than one dude in there.
They're gonna spoon.
That, or I think they were just facing each other and like holding onto each other, like
And kissing.
they're kissing. And so it ends up, what their plan is, the British plan to get rid of these coffins is to just bury, like there's a big giant ass hole a couple miles away, and they're just going to toss all these coffins in there. I don't even know if they're going to bury it. I guess so.
Well, they can't prove
They don't
who
really
made
have
the
time.
coffin
Yeah.
if they take
It's
it
not like they
away,
put their
so.
stamp of approval or something on it, probably.
Yeah.
So they get dumped off onto this like ramp thing into this hole, which can't feel great.
No, they just dump it. It's a dump. It's basically a dump truck. It backs up and it slides them off, and they fall into the hole. And you think to yourself, "Oh, they gotta have a few broken bones at least."
Because it's like these hard wooden coffins. Like they're
Yeah.
not like they're not padded at all. So then it opens up, and they're in the hole, and the truck's driving away, and Albert Fry is like, "Oh yeah, it's so cool. We're gonna get out." So he opens the coffin, and he starts to get out ahead of Lieutenant Luger. And so he climbs up on top of the hill, and just as he gets to the top of the hill, out comes Major Nicholson. And it's kind of a fun shot because he's got the light backlighting him from the one Jeep or whatever. And he's pointing a gun at Luger, and he shoots him in the stomach. And so that's when Albert Fry comes up, and all of a sudden he doesn't have a German accent anymore.
Oh my God, Lieutenant Forsyth!
Now he's Lieutenant Forsyth, which is who he has been all along. He's British. He's not German.
He's British.
He's British.
Isn't it?
And he's been faking the whole time.
He's got a license to impersonate a German soldier.
Yeah. He's been in cahoots with Major Nicholson the whole time. Basically, Major Nicholson was also kind of giving him a second chance to redeem himself, but when they brought that other guy that got injured and he killed him, he's like, "Well, I guess that was your chance." Albert Fry, or Lieutenant Forsyth, had been a spy this whole time. I don't know how long, because I guess those other guys trusted him too, so it's probably been a while.
I mean, if he's like a good professional spy, I find it kind of hard to believe that they would just have him, play this little game with prisoners of war and not actually doing something.
So he's like, "Yeah, how do you like that? Like, you've been backstabbed too, just like you backstabbed your own men."
Yeah, and you can see that the Major has kind of this vendetta against people he perceives as dishonorable.
And earlier there was a talk that the Major told him, like, he would shoot him right now, but he's not worth the bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a phrase here where he goes, you know what? I changed my mind. You are worth the bullet. And he shoots him again, I guess in the head. It just shows a bloody hand.
Yeah.
But part of me was like, that's 2 bullets. Because he already shot him in the stomach. But that's okay.
Oh, whatever.
That's okay. So now he's dead in the hole.
Shit. You set me up!
Well, it's quite simple. I'm giving you a dose of your own. Mind you, I was hoping that putting you in the same room as Schloss would have ended differently. Great shame. He was a good soldier.
Yes, Major. At least I got him to your office in time.
Yes, good job, Lieutenant Forsyth.
You English bastards!
Oh, that phone call you overheard. That was my official notification. The war ended today. In a few hours, we shall be releasing the other prisoners.
It was fun, wasn't it? Trio.
Oh, by the way, I have changed my mind about you, Luger. You are definitely worth a bullet.
By the way, I got a phone call. The war is over.
It ended like an hour ago.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to let everybody go in the next couple days. And he's like, oh, what? Choose them. So it's just a whole bunch of little like twists and turns at the end. I did like the ending. I thought it was kind of
Which
fun.
technically makes the what the Major did kind of a war crime, but
Or just a crime itself because the war's over, right? So, yeah, so that's the end of the episode. Luger fucked around and found out.
I mean, he did. I find it kind of like weird. I don't know. It seems a bit convoluted that the Major would know that he would be in the coffin because
Well, yeah, it seems weird because did they know that that was Kitty in on it? Was she supposed to tell a narc on the thing? But you didn't know.
Maybe she was. But again, the plot's not perfect.
Yeah.
But overall, it is pretty solid. I mean, this is more of a return to basically the same kind of format as the first couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's got a good format of the whole like getting your comeuppance and making deals and thinking they're going to work and they don't.
It's the old morality tale, kind of like spin, which is kind of been lacking for the last like 2 or 3 seasons, honestly.
Yeah, because if you really think about the plot, it's like everything would have had to happen right away. Like we don't know exactly when he got the phone call. I don't think.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly when he knew. Maybe he knew Kitty was going to tell. Maybe Kitty was a spy.
I mean, I guess if we just implied that the Major is God, don't question it.
It was still fun. I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but it had a cool location, and I liked little twists and turns at the end.
That's solid.
Yeah. Yeah, so then it ends and it cuts back to the Crypt Keeper. He is still commanding those soldiers. They really zoom in on his face here. You get to really see his glorious cheekbones.
Crypt Keeper, you're so punny.
And the best Crypt Keeper pun is...
Well, Luger wanted a discharge from the army, and that's exactly what he got. Talk about a bleeder among men. I guess now he'd rather fright than snitch.
But yeah, there is no IMDb trivia for this episode. That's the end of Season 7, Episode 4, Escape. The next episode is Season 7, Episode 5, Horror in the Night.
Horror in the Night! I watched Critters too many times.
If you've ever seen Critters, there was a song called Power of the Night.
Yes.
Power of the Night. So it just reminds you of that.
It was it was supposed to be what made that band big.
It's a great song. It's a jam.
And they never got big.
So that's the end. Mike, thank you so much for being on this episode.
Of course.
I hope you enjoyed your Lady Grey.
It was gone in like a second.
I still have some. Anyway, thank you all out there for downloading and listening to this episode. If you want to send me an email with questions or comments, please do so at goodeveningpod@gmail.com. Please feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcast or I think Podchaser, Good Pods, Podcast Republic. There's a lot of places, and I will read it on the podcast. I really appreciate them. I like to know that everyone, people are listening and enjoying the podcast. And you can check me out on Twitter at Gek Podcast. That's at GEK Podcast. I also have a Facebook page. Gus has an Instagram page at a sweet cat named Gus, and you can just see him being cute and mostly sleeping. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So bye. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. Mike, say bye.
Bye.
just had quite a scare. I actually thought my heart was beating.